And we're back. And the judges that I was talking about were Christina Robinson Garrett, who was appointed 36th district judge, and then was elevated to the Court of Appeals, as well as Noah Hood, who took over who took over my seat in the Third Circuit. So as I've indicated to you, I do applaud those individuals. But look, that's enough of me talking. Let's go to my callers. We got a lot. Okay, Tony, how are you? Do we still have Tony? No.
Hello.
Hi, Tony.
Hi, Attorney Vonda. Evans, how are you?
I'm doing well, thank you.
So, they tried over and over again to bring out, the stereotype angry black woman, and she stood on her square. What do you think would have happened if she had replied with that question from Marshall? What is a woman? Define a woman. If she had just said an adult female human being, what rabbit hole do you think they would have took her on? The transgender.
That's where they wanted to take her. And you know what? Have you ever played tic-tac-toe where they got you either way? Okay, listen, let me tell you something. That woman, listen, she got more sense in her fingernail, okay? All right, the justice. Okay, she was not going there. She was like, girl, stop. Why are you playing? Okay, here's the situation.
She's obviously overqualified. Just look at Amy Coney Barrett. I don't think she ever presided over a trial.
Yeah, when they talked about the Senator Blackburn, she wanted to take her there. She wanted an emotional response from her, and she wanted to bait her there. And I think that had she tried to define it by her own belief, I believe that would have been detrimental. And I think that she did a good job. What do you think? Do you think that she did a good job? Were you proud of her?
Absolutely. And you know what? It's so insulting for them to refer to her as being articulate, and she's a Harvard Law School graduate. That's another button. They try to push our buttons, and we just can't respond emotionally.
Well, what did First Lady Michelle Obama say? When they go low, we go high. You understand that? And at the end of the day, you cannot.
And you know what Michelle Obama also said?
What?
She said that she should have never been intimidated by Ivy League scholars because, when she was around them, she understood that she was more than competent.
Exactly. But thank you so much, first time caller. I'm honored, and I don't want you to be a stranger. We need to be able to have a different perspective, especially from our young people. I really appreciate it. Thank you so very much. Larry, how are you?
Hi, Courtney. I just wanted to chime in on the hearings. I know Black Pioneers, having heard her on different talk shows. I did not hear the dialogue between her and the Judge Jackson. So I, like you, I knew they're going through all this because, it's governed, they have to do it, but there's no question that she's going to be confirmed. And yes, she is qualified, and yes, she probably should be confirmed. And you're talking to a conservative person.
I know.
And no, but please understand, being conservative does not mean that I think that everything conservatives do is right any more than I think everything people on the other side of the fence do is wrong. I'm just, but she obviously was prepped, knowing that the questions were going to be, she was going to face, it was going to be very contentious. But one person who you did not make reference to was Senator Cruz.
Yes.
Now, Senator Cruz, Senator, I did see the back and forth with Cruz and Judge Jackson. Now that I found a little more interesting because of his background. I mean, I don't know anything about Blackburn other than I know she's a senator from Tennessee. I don't know anything. I did not know anything about her background. You're saying that she's done. Now, Cruz, I believe he's not only an attorney, but I believe he has been a judge before. So what I'm getting at is, so like him or not, and obviously they felt that he was involved in the insurrection on January 6th, just like Hawley was. And he was also critical of the judge's sentencing practices in relation to child porn, which I, to be perfectly honest about it, I find more concerning than this, if I'm what is a woman.
Okay.
That does not really, I'm not troubled even if she had credibility. I'm talking about Blackburn.
Yes.
I'm more concerned about her rulings on, child porn issues. And then, but her defense was that it's not the court's job to set policy, it's the legislature. So I think that's how she was dealing with it.
Right. One of the things that Senator Cruz talked about, questioned her about anti-racism books and the Supreme Court's gay marriage ruling, and they were questioning her about her defense of Guantanamo Bay detainees who also had faced mistreatment. And so, but of course, Senator Cruz had to start talking, about things that I just did not feel that were completely relevant, and going off on the far end as well when you start talking about the critical race theories. I didn't
hear that. But that I didn't hear the entire exchange. I only saw portions of it because he got into it with Senator Coons, who was the chairman who's a Democrat, of course,
yes.
He was presiding over the whole hearings.
Right.
So there was some conflict between, obviously, it's a Republican. But understand something. You had to know, because this is the way the things are. I mean, and I don't want to get into it because she's the first black nominee for the Supreme Court, because let's be perfectly fair about it. I'm not looking at it from that standpoint, but let's go back 2 years ago when Kavanaugh was on the hot seat. I mean, he did react he did not maintain his composure, to be perfectly fair about it. Now, I'm going to say this about Jackson, right? No matter if the questions were fair or unfair, she did handle it most professionally. So I'm going to give her a 10 out of 10 for that. No matter if the questions were fair or not, she did not become emotional about it the way that Kavanaugh did. If you remember, he got quite upset with Klobuchar and a couple of the other senators when they questioned situations that happened when he was in either high school or college. If you remember, they were talking about drinking and a bunch of other things. And then you remember that they held up his nomination because they wanted to go back a week. They wanted to hold it up for a week, and then they wanted to delve in to get a witness, if you remember. So my point being that you have to understand, when there's going to be a situation where a Republican nominates his person and a Democrat nominates his particular choice, there's going to be friction.
But what I'm saying to you is, just wait a minute. I understand that there may be some legitimate, but just try to make up something just to have something to be said. I remember many times how I would tell the difference between a very learned lawyer and a very new lawyer. When a learned lawyer is winning, they don't say nothing. When a new lawyer who is trying to impress somebody, they always ask a question and they put their foot right in their mouth. See, the rule of thumb is this: if you win and don't say nothing. But many times these individuals feel that it's necessary, it's incumbent. I gotta say something. And then when they do, they show their ignorance or they show their lack of education in certain areas. You know, like what we just talked about with this particular senator, Marsha Blackburn. How do you quote the Declaration of Independence as saying it came out the Constitution? You didn't know what you were talking about. You should have kept your mouth shut.
Right. Well, then obviously she was. No, there's no question.
But what I'm saying to you is right. Just say I don't have anything to say.
I'm not going to defend her. I'm not defending her. That's why I made reference to Cruz being that he has a background in law and all that. So I'm not, like him or not, I think that his questions from his background might have been considered, even though people thought that, I don't know if they thought that he was baiting her. I mean, some people would say that. I'm not saying he was or he wasn't, but I'm just trying to differentiate a question coming from Cruz as opposed to Marsha Blackburn.
Well, quite frankly, I'm gonna tell you this: 6.5. I'm gonna tell you this: it was 6.5 dozen. Both of them were dumb in my estimation. Oh, she was 6. He was half a dozen. So that's my feeling. But thank you so much for your call. As always, you're so very informative. Thank you for challenging us to look at the other side. Now we got another caller named Larry on the line. Is that correct?
We lost a second, Larry. Let's go to Kwame.
Kwame, what's up?
Oh, well, I'm just listening. It's a good discussion. So you think you think that Ms. Brown was just evading the question when she said she's not a biologist?
I don't think that it was appropriate, and I don't think that it was the correct form in which she should have answered it, because it had nothing to do with her qualifications as a justice. It was irrelevant.
Yeah.
It was irrelevant.
It's like a trick question.
Exactly, because they wanted to take her down a rabbit hole, and they wanted to discuss this issue about transgenderness. And how do we know that? Because her second comment was, just last week, an entire generation of young girls watch as our taxpayer-funded institutions permitted a biological man to compete and be a biological woman in NCAA championship. What message do you think this sends to girls who aspire to compete and win in sports at the highest level? What?
Well,
that don't have nothing to do. That it had nothing to do with nothing. You just wanted to sit up there and say something, and it didn't make sense, and it did not go to her to the merits of whether or not she was qualified or not. The fact that young children saw a transgender woman compete, I do not think is something that is bad. I think that it is something that is good. And I think that the fact that this person was able to find who they are and to identify with that, I'm wonderful. So all of this, what difference does it make? Lady, come on. You know what I'm saying? What is she supposed to say? Say, well, she had many things to say. I think that was totally inappropriate. And I think that it showed her lack of intelligence. That's what I think. She knew that this woman was an intellectual. This is not a regular learned woman. This is an intellectual. How do we know? Because she's mastered Harvard undergrad as well as law school. People who are graduates from Harvard are intellectual. I almost said Howard. They social. Howard is social. Okay, I know. All right. We'll be back shortly. We've got some more callers, and we want to take them shortly.